Even being in the fashion industry for many years, I've still made mistakes on my shipping invoices that have cost me a lot of money. Most clothing brand owners don't fully understand and underestimate the cost of duties and tariffs. Today, I'm going to break down what import duties actually mean, what to watch out for, and how to avoid paying more than you should. This is especially important now if you are importing into the US with all of the recent reciprocal tariff changes. Duties and tariffs are taxes charged when goods enter the country. In the US, tariffs began back in the late 1700s with the goal of protecting domestic industries and raising revenue for the government. For clothing specifically, tariff rates depend on garment type, fabric, and country of origin. You're going to hear me use the words duty and tariff interchangeably. For fashion brands, they basically mean the same thing, a tax on your imported products. Technically, a tariff is the rate at which you're taxed, and a duty is what you actually pay, but really they go hand in hand, and I've always used them interchangeably. For example, a non-knit or woven women's cotton dress, the regular base tariff rate is 8.4%. So that means for one $20 dress, you would pay about $1.68 in standard or base duty. Reciprocal tariffs are in addition to standard duties. It's especially important now in the US because all of these reciprocal tariff rates have been recently added onto base or standard duties for all sorts of products that can be imported into the US. For example, like we just said, a women's woven cotton dress base rate is about 8.4%. But if you're importing that dress from India, the current reciprocal tariff rate is 50%. And this is expected hopefully to decrease soon. There are talks and negotiations happening. So hoping that that rate will get decreased to about 15% or less soon. Currently though, if we're at the 50% reciprocal tariff rate, this equals 50% reciprocal tariff plus the base rate of 8.4%. And that's almost a 60% total tariff rate for a women's woven cotton dress. Needless to say, small brands and importers feel the impact of these tariff rates really quickly because they add up very fast. Let's talk through a real example. Let's say we're importing 60 pieces of a women's woven cotton dress from India at $20 per piece. This gives us a $1,200 total FOB cost for these dresses. Now, FOB just means free on board. And this is a term that's used when we are talking about costs of a garment before shipping and before duty. So your FOB cost is just the cost of the garment that's made and done, but before shipping and before duty. And this FOB cost is mainly what your manufacturer is going to charge you for the finished garment. So we have $1,200 of women's woven cotton dresses FOB cost. We have a total shipping cost of $300 for this box of dresses. And we have our standard duty rate of 8.4%, which would be about $101 on the total of $1,200 FOB. Now, let's say the reciprocal tariffs adjust to 15% from India, and that means the additional or reciprocal duty will be $180. So this gives us a landed cost, and the landed cost is the cost you pay after duty and shipping of $1,200 plus $300 plus $101 plus $180 equals a total landed cost of $1,781. So you go from your initial or first cost or FOB of $1,200 to a landed cost of $1,781 or $1,781. That's quite a difference. It's about a 48% increase after duty and shipping. Let's talk about the hidden fees that no one really tells you about on your shipping invoice. Quickly, we're going to go over some fees that are normal on shipping invoices, especially if you use carriers like UPS or DHL. First of all, there is something called a residential surcharge fee. If you happen to have your goods delivered to your home, they're going to slap on a little extra fee for this. Could be anywhere from a few dollars to even I've gotten $100 $100+ for some shipments. You never know what it's going to be. So just be aware of that. Secondly, there's something called the disbursement fee, and that is when the carrier, like UPS or DHL, prepays the duty for you, and then they send you the invoice. This is right now currently about 3.5% of the total invoice. There's also another fee called the PGA disclaimer fee, and this is, I don't even understand what this is, but it's associated with government regulation, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the point is there will be additional fees on any import shipment, and you just have to be aware of what they are. I'm going to give you a quick real life example. I had an invoice from the end of 2024 that I have. The declared value of the goods was about $5,000. My freight charges were about $1,200. The duties were about $530, and the UPS fees were $240. Let's go over a quick checklist to avoid overpaying on imports and duties. You have to know your HTS code before you're placing the orders. The HTS code is the Harmonized Tariff System Code, and that is a code or the duty rate for any type of product that can be imported. And you're gonna go to the website. It's hts.usitc.gov. I'll link it. And you can see there's a PDF for any type of product that you could possibly import. You have to find your product category. Just FYI, Chapter 62 is articles of apparel and clothing accessories not knitted or crocheted. So for our women's woven dress example, you would go into this, Chapter 62. You can download the PDF of just Chapter 62, and you find your garment type. Dresses is section 6204 in the PDF. Cotton dresses specifically is 6204.42.30, and you can see here it's at an 8.4% duty. You can also Google or use AI to assist you with finding duty rates, but always make sure you do your research and make sure your rate is correct. At the end of the day, you are the importer of record, and as the designer or brand owner, you are responsible for paying the shipping invoice and the duty. Another best practice is to use a costing spreadsheet to estimate FOB versus landed costs before placing orders. I'll do a separate video on this and give you my best practice for creating a really easy costing spreadsheet template that you can use for all of your collections over and over again. Always track duties and estimated shipping in this costing spreadsheet, and I always estimate on the higher side when I'm planning for shipping just to be safe. It's so much easier to estimate higher and expect to pay more and then reduce it to lower when you actually get the shipping quote than to plan for lower and have to owe more money at the end. Learn how to calculate duty or use a duty calculator like simplyduty.com. I do it all on my Excel spreadsheet, but if you don't have a comfort level with that, there are apps you can use that will help you calculate duty and get it right. Combine shipments to cut brokerage fees and save on shipping costs. For example, one large shipment will be less money than 2 to 3 smaller shipments. Ask your manufacturing partner to quote a shipping cost with their carrier. I've always gotten better rates this way. When I work with my India manufacturers, they tend to get better shipping rates through their carriers than I can get. So I will have them quote me a rate and I will just reimburse them for shipping, as opposed to me going through my UPS account or my DHL account. I always get better rates when I partner with my manufacturer and ask to use their accounts. It's just because they do such a high volume of shipments, they get a better rate. Once you receive your shipment and the final freight and duty bill, make sure you update your internal spreadsheet and break down the shipping costs and actual duty per piece. So when you're estimating it in the beginning, you might be off by a little bit. So say you're estimating your shipping costs at $5 per piece, but it comes in at $2 per piece. Well, you want to update your spreadsheet so that you get an actual landed cost and not your initial estimated cost. You use your FOB cost plus all duties and tariffs plus your shipping/freight cost to come up with a landed cost, which is the final cost of your product. Let's talk really quickly about the de minimis law. Under the old law, any import shipment into the US under $800 could be imported duty-free. So that means you didn't have to pay duties or tariffs on any shipment that was valued at $800 or less. That law has been phased out since the end of August of 2025, and now even small shipments, tiny shipments, face the duty and reciprocal tariffs. There's also ridiculous brokerage charges that come along with these shipments. For example, I just got a UPS invoice for something that was 56 cents in duties, but $14 in brokerage fees. The de minimis law really helped out a lot of small brands by allowing them to get in smaller shipments of under $800 throughout the year and kind of act as margin builders where you don't have to pay duties and tariffs. As a small business, this was, I know for me, it was very helpful, and I used this as much as I could in order to build my margin and help with costs. Just to recap, duties and tariffs are taxes on any goods that are imported into the country. Reciprocal tariffs can shift the cost of your products drastically, so always know what the base tariff is and what any reciprocal tariff rates are. They're changing a lot, so make sure you're up on the news and you know your current tariff rates. Always include your duties, tariffs, and shipping rates in your final landed cost. If you're importing products, clothing, garments, you will pay duties and tariffs. If this video saves you one surprise bill or any money at all, I think it's worth it. Comment on what topics you want to see in future videos, and please check out my video on 5 common mistakes most fashion founders make with pricing.